Alright guys, welcome back to Elden Ring. We're starting off this episode in the Round Table Hold because we need to speak to Enya in order to buy a piece of demigod armor off of her so that we can do the necessary steps to complete Boks quest. I usually just buy the Radon chest piece armor here, but I don't think it matters which piece you buy. As long as you have the prattling pate and the gold sewing needle, you should be able to complete Boks quest to its completion here. Now be wary, if you have a larval tear in your inventory, you could get a piece of dialogue that will lead to the bad ending for Bok. Just do not give him a larval tear. Equip your prattling pate and start talking to Bok.
This is ready to make.
You'll first get the "Did you see it?" piece of dialogue.
I was here to try. Know it.
Then the "I'm sorry." This is the point where you need to give him the gold sewing needle.
Thank you. Amazed the spectre. Are you sir? Have faith. I'll polish my be the now.
Then I have a favor to ask. He'll ask you if he can call you Lord. This will give you a gesture. Surely she'd be happy for you is the last piece right here before using the prattling pate. Use the prattling pate and talk to Bok again.
Bok, this is ready to make. Did I just thank you, Mum?
Once you say "that's right," that will complete Bok's quest.
My lord,
Before we go to the Mountaintops of the Giants, there's a few things we need to take care of first to ensure our rewards later, which include 2 somber ancient dragon smithing stones. We certainly do not want to miss out on these. So we need to go to the Liurnia of the Lakes region and begin an NPC quest, and also we need to go back to the Mount Gilmere region and get invaded by Anastasia Tarnished Eater again. Our next destination is the Lakeside Crystal Cave. But along the way, we're going to pick up a dexterity tier that's on a small island guarded by several albinorics. We're going to use the concealing veil to sneak up on the albinorics and just shoot them with the jar cannon and backstab them. But for the Crystal Cave boss, we're going to need the Nox Flowing Sword and the jar cannon for the many enemies in the cave. We'll also need the volcano pots for the snails. We'll use both arrow talismans once we get to the cave, but for now, we'll use the concealing veil. You might have noticed while I was going through my inventory that I have accumulated both of the envoy horn weapons. These are gun-type weapons that double as hammers, so they're pretty useful weapons, and I'll try to find a use for them during the walkthrough because they are gun-type weapons, which fit the Indiana Jones style. When you get right here, go into stealth mode and find the mushroom. Once you get to this mushroom right here, you want to line up. There are 2 albinorics. You want to line up their heads. So you see them. There's one right behind this one. But if you aim just about on his right shoulder, you should take out both of the albinorics with one shot. This will alert this one that's sitting down, but with the crouching stealth mechanic here, he will not see you and you can just fire again. Now we're just going to sneak up on the last albinoric and backstab him and collect our prize, the dexterity tier. Probably should have got this much earlier in the playthrough because it's going to benefit the Nox Flowing Sword. From this vantage, we can see in the distance over here our next destination. We'll head there. That is the Lakeside Crystal Caves. This is where we'll meet Latenna, the albinoric that the guy in the village talked about that gave us the first half of the Halig Tree Medallion. Don't go to this location before you have the medallion, though. You need the first half. And whatever you do, do not go to the Mountaintops of the Giants and collect the second half of the medallion before talking to Latenna and starting her quest, because if you do, you will not get the ancient somber dragon smithing stone. That's why we're going here now. There are only a total of 8 ancient somber dragon smithing stones in a single playthrough in the base game, So you certainly don't want to miss out on any of them. But when we get to the Grace, we're going to go ahead and mix in our Dexterity tier that we just got. For the boss coming up, you'll get this Arterial Leaf before sitting down. Now, the boss at the end of this cave is nothing to write home about. It's just a Bloodhound Knight, similar to the one that you fought when you were helping Blide in the first part of his quest. But we're going to mix in the Dexterity tier nonetheless. It'll help with the Nox Flowing Swords damage. Now, right here, you can pick off quite a few of the demi-humans that are lurking about in the dark. But with the Jar Cannon, we're just going to take them all out from distance. We're going to go ahead and throw on the Arrow's Reach Talisman just so that we can ensure that we reach our far targets here, way off in the distance, with our Ballista Bolts. Now, we are using the regular Ballista Bolts. The Bone Ballista Bolts can be reserved for shorter distances, like this guy right here that's just walking about. But for the most part, we're going to be using our main Ballista Bolts. We're just going to keep repositioning ourselves right here until we know we killed all the enemies. There's some more over here in the distance. You'll get the lock on. As long as you keep trying to get a lock on and you get a lock on, just go ahead and shoot them. Once you don't have any more lock ons, then we can make our way up. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick left here and backstab this demi-human that's just crouched over here in the dark. And there's a secret area up here that has a talisman called the Spear Talisman, which will increase thrusting weapon counterattack damage by 15%. This does work with bows and crossbows. So this is essentially our Leo ring for Elden Ring from Dark Souls. Now there was going to be an enemy that comes out here, just pop him when he comes out. And we're going to go into the area that he came from because there's a Demi Chief in here and a few other enemies that's guarding the Spear Talisman. There is actually a very sneaky enemy hiding by some crates, but we're going to throw a volcano pot at him and end him. But right here, we can just stand right here. Don't drop down. Just shoot twice to take out the demi-human chief. Because if you drop down, he can hit you, but if you just stay up here, he can't do anything. And right here to the right, we're just going to throw one volcano pot to end his plans of ambushing us. And there's a sleeping demi-human over here, but we missed. Make sure to kill him, and then we'll get the Spear Talisman in the chest over here. Now, I'm sure that we will come up with some use for this talisman, since it is essentially the Leo ring from Dark Souls, and we just need to find the right enemy for it that has a long, drawn-out attack animation to make it easier to counterattack. Probably giants of some description, although we're not going to use it on the fire giant. We have a better plan for him. Now, we want to drop down here, but be careful, because if you miss your jump or your drop down here, you go all the way down to the bottom and you will die, and you'll have to do it all again. But this cave is very easy, guys. There's only just a few types of enemies. There's some new enemies coming up, the snails that will shoot frost at you. But we're going to take them out from distance with the jar cannon and the volcano pots. Here's your first victim here. Just shoot him point blank range. There's a couple in the distance here, I think. And this one right here. You'll have to move to the side to avoid hitting the chair. There's a chair right here I just rolled through. If you shoot directly in front of the snail, you'll hit the chair instead of the snail, and you'll waste a bolt. Now up here, there's a cluster of snails all congregated on the left side here, but one volcano pot will take all of them out with one throw. Very nice. We got to drop down yet again. Again, just be careful. Know what you're falling onto. Get your loot and get ready to shoot. There's 3 snails in the distance here. We're just going to take them out from distance again. Now this third one on the far right, for some reason there's an invisible blockade or something, an invisible barrier. I couldn't shoot him. See, 1, I tried twice. Wasted 2 bolts here. So I don't know, I guess it's hitting this ledge or something, I don't know. So we're going to move to the left. Maybe it was just hitting a piece of crystal. I don't know. But now we're going to get ready for the boss. It's only going to take 2 swipes with our Nox Flowing Sword's flowing form to take him out. So either way you can manage it, just hit him twice with the flowing sword with our buffs active. And of course our new dexterity tier, which is going to give us 10 extra levels of dexterity, which is pretty huge to be honest. And we're just going to try to... He'll usually charge you, so I usually try to time it, but here he didn't come at me right away. And just hit him twice and it's over. Either way you can manage it. There's nothing much to say. It's just such an easy boss fight because it only takes 2 swipes with your Nox Flowing Sword. Now when you come out of the cave, go straight and pick up the Trina's Lily. You need to be hoarding these because we need to be making sleep pots in the future. And we're going to talk to Latenna right here. The Albinuric. This is the one that the dude that was in the village mentioned. And he wanted us to show her the medallion. At first she's really mean to us, but then once we show her the medallion, she's really nice to us and wants to join us. She wants to help us get the second half of the Halig Tree medallion, which will help us get into the Halig Tree. Exhaust all of her dialogue until she disappears. It is absolutely imperative that we do this before going to the Mountaintops of the Giants. You can actually go to the Mountaintops, but you cannot get the second half of the Halig Tree medallion. If you do, you will not get the reward for her quest line, which is an ancient dragon somber smithing stone, which we can only get 8 of those in this entire playthrough, minus the DLC. And I'm not sure if we're going to do the DLC in any capacity for this walkthrough. Let me know in the comments if you want me to delve into that, because there are some nice items in the DLC I'd like to get. But we're going to go back to Mount Gilmere here, and I need to elaborate here. This is not the first campsite of Gilmere. This is the Bridge of Iniquity. You need to go to the Bridge of Iniquity, and it's a much quicker way to get to this next area here. We need to get invaded by Anastasia again, because she gives us another ancient dragon somber smithing stone. Although I don't think you have to do this before going to the Mountaintops, I'm just being safe here because I don't want to miss out on these 2 stones because I have need of them for my weaponry. But you want to activate all your buffs and make sure that you have the Beast Torch equipped, because if you don't have the Beast Torch, you will get mauled to absolute death by multiple enemies coming at you while you're trying to fight Anastasia. But we're going to take Anastasia out very fast. Only 2 hits with the Nox Flowing Sword, and she will not even see it coming, because we're going to stand off just to the left of the entrance to this shack, and we can hit her through the wall, and she has 0 chance of killing us. Just lock onto her and hit her twice. It just doesn't get any easier. We'll pick up the Golden Vow. This is the same thing we've been using on our whip, but the incantation version is slightly better. So we'll probably move on to that pretty soon and put a different Ash of War on our whip. Although it is pretty convenient to always have the Ash of War Golden Vow on the whip. Now we can't travel out of here until we kill some of these strays around here, because there's too many enemies that are close to us and the game will not let us use our map. So unfortunately we have to hunt down these strays. And then we'll move on to Lindale again and make our way to the Grand Lift of Rold. It's not too far from here. We have to go through a little bit of Lindale here, and we have to go through a mini area called the Forsaken Lands, and then we'll be in the Mountaintops of the Giants. But we're going to put on the Concealing Veil here. It will come in handy. We need both of the arrow talismans for now. We're going to use the jar cannon coming up, but right now we're just going to keep it unequipped, because when you equip such a heavy load, you run like you got to take a dump, and it just looks funny, and it takes longer to run. So we're just going to use it when we need it. But we need to travel in this direction. There are no enemies in this direction, so don't feel like you're going to get ambushed or anything. If you stick to this road and just get to this door and open it. But as soon as you open the door, all bets are off. There's a lot of enemies out here, but we're going to take them out stealthily. And we're not going to kill every enemy. We're just going to kill the ones that matter. There is some loot to be had in this area, and we're just going to kill the enemies that are guarding it, and then we're going to move on. But go ahead and go into stealth mode, and you'll see there is a Misbegotten on patrol. Just wait till he turns around and backstab him. Now, once he's dealt with, we're going to direct our attention to the right slightly. And there are two Misbegottens. They will not really notice you. Just get up right on them and use one flowing form and take them both out at the same time. Now we need to switch to the jar cannon. We need to have the jar cannon for this next section. It's very important. Go into stealth mode and stay on the right side of the stairs. And stop about right here. You're going to turn around and you're going to fire one shot at this Misbegotten. Try to aim for the head, but it doesn't matter. If you hit him in any way, he's going to die. Now this part is a little tricky. Make sure you have the Arrow's Reach Talisman equipped for this next one. And you're going to use a regular bolt, not a bone bolt. We want to take out the Perfumer that's way off in the distance here. One shot will take him out. As this Misbegotten is overlooking the area, you need to take these two enemies out, because if you don't, they'll see you when you walk by, even if you have the talisman equipped, because the range isn't good enough. Now we're going to go back into stealth mode again and use our Nox Flowing Sword. There are some sleeping Misbegottens up here. One of them is rather tanky, so we're going to have to do a charge attack to stun and then repost. And there's another Misbegotten that's below us that we're going to have to do a backstab on, but we're going to have to do some buffs to take him out with one shot. Just do one charge attack and then follow it up with another, and he'll stun and repost. You don't even need the Misericord for this one. And there's one more Misbegotten here. Now, because we want to one-shot this next Misbegotten down here, we need to buff. We need to put on our Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength combination. And we'll use the Misericord's Royal Knight Resolve, and we should be able to one-shot this guy right here. He's rather tanky. He's got a lot of health. And he's guarding a Somber 6. So we're just going to do that, backstab him, and insta-kill him. Behind this structure is a Somber 6. Now we've pretty much killed all the enemies we're going to kill in this area. There are more enemies here, but we do not want to fight them. Go into stealth mode and just walk over here to where you can get a Exalted Flesh. But as long as you do not make any noise and you stay in crouched mode here, they will not see you. Once you get the Exalted Flesh, just come down here and stick to the right side and just keep a low profile all the way to the door here. There's a Misbegotten Warrior and there's another Perfumer over there. There's just a lot of enemies you don't have to fight. No reason to. Now up here on this lift, we're safe. Even if the enemies are following you, they will not go onto the lift. Now we need to get our jar cannon back out for this next section. We're going to use a little bit of an AI exploit that's been here since the Dark Souls 1 game. It's just like an invisible line or something where the enemies just do not want to come to you. And we're going to use that to our advantage to take out this enemy coming up. But we want to stick to the left here. And you want to position yourself right here where this structure is blocking the line of sight from that enemy. Because if he sees you shoot this enemy, he'll just come at you. But once we position ourselves just like this, he will not see us, even though we have the concealing veil on. I'm going to take this guy out. Now, if you approach to try to get this talisman here, the enemy will rise up, but if you just walk away with the concealing veil, he'll just go right back to where he was doing, which is napping on the job, I guess. We're going to sneak around to the right side, and we're just going to use flowing form through the wall and take him out. Now, for one of the most important exploits we're going to use in this game. I did mention in a previous episode that darkness was one of the best spells in this game, and we're going to put it on full display right now. We're going to go ahead and do our quick buffs here. Flame grant me strength, golden vow. And we're going to use the misericord here. What we're going to do is we're going to backstab this Lindale Knight that's got a lot of armor, a lot of tanky. He's real tanky and everything, but we're going to exploit him. We're going to backstab him, but one backstab will not be enough to kill him. But we'll be able to chain backstab him because with darkness, he'll just stand there and let us do it. So just back up and use darkness, and then get another free backstab. It just doesn't get any easier than this, guys. Now, this enemy here is a bit of a pain. Target the horse first so that he'll be off of his mount. Sometimes I can kill the horse with just a few shots, but he moved around a little bit here. As long as you can quickly get a few shots on, you can take this horse out before he comes to you. But if he does come to you, just run away straight all the way back to the lift. Don't engage at all, just run all the way back. As soon as you get to the lift, he'll just turn around like you're not even there and just pound him with bolts until he's dismounted. It should only take 2. If you've already fired 1 shot already. Well, 3 shots. And now we're going to use darkness again. And get a free backstab. Like I say, man, you got all the time in the world. You do Royal Knight's Resolve, and you're just standing there looking up at the sky. Only thing is it takes quite a bit of FP, so we need to replenish and use darkness again as he's climbing up the stairs here. And he'll stop, and he'll look for another solar eclipse, and you can just backstab him again. You see how effective darkness is. If you're struggling with this game with the regular knights or whatever, you invest in this spell and you'll never have trouble again. It is basically easy mode. Again, why Dark Souls and Elden Ring do not need easy modes, because this is easy mode, guys. We're playing Elden Ring on easy mode. That's what we're doing. That's why we don't even need vigor. We're just using things that the game gives us. The game gives us darkness. Why not use it? It's just, there's so many things you can do in Elden Ring and Dark Souls that make the game easy. Make sure that you get this scarab here. It will grow to a larger scarab. Might stun you a little bit, but it won't cause any damage. Just make sure you kill it, because it's going to give you another Somber 6. But pretty soon we'll be able to buy Somber 6s. But a free Somber 6 is a free Somber 6. And now we're free to go to the lift. This will take us to the Forgotten Lands. A little mini area. We're not going to invest much time in it right now. We are going to pick up a Somber 7 in the area. Other than that, we're not interested in exploring. We'll do that later. Like I said in the very first video, my goal was to just get all the weapons I wanted, which would involve me going close to the end game, and then go back to the very beginning of the game and just knock everything out, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to knock everything out, all the dungeons, all the catacombs, all that, but we're going to have advanced weaponry and a lot more tools at our disposal to make it even easier. So there's going to be a grace out here, just make sure you hit it. Now, there are a lot of militiamen out here. You don't have to fight them. I don't recommend doing so because they can pretty much one-shot you anyway. Now I recommend, if it's nighttime, which it is for us, we're going to go ahead and pass time until morning. The reason being is twofold. First of all, it's easier to see things because this area is very foggy and hard to see. And number two, there is a Knight's Cavalry at night, and we don't want to deal with him either, so let's just make it easier for ourselves and make it daytime. We're not going to engage in any enemies, we're just going to the Grand Lift of Rold, and we're going to get a Somber 7 though, and we're going to also get a Golden Seed along the way. There is also a mini-boss at the end of the area that is guarding the Grand Lift of Rold. Black Knife Kindred, I think. You can fight him if you want to. He's not that hard to kill, especially if you stun him with the poise, like we did with the Godfrey fight in the last episode. We'll get to him, but not right now. We're just looking to get to the Mountaintops of the Giants and kill the Fire Giant in this episode, and then we'll go from there. We also need to fulfill our third Volcano Manor request. We'll do that as well before killing the Fire Giant. And we're also going to kill an NPC to get the Rivers of Blood Katana, which has been severely nerfed. And when I mean severely, I mean multiple times. But we're still going to get it. But right here, you don't want to miss out on this Somber 7. Now we're just going to make a beeline for the lift. Now, I do recommend hitting the Grace to the right side of the lift, because the Black Knife Kindred will come at you and he will interrupt you and sometimes not even let you sit at the Grace. So just speed is everything here. Do not waste any time. Just get up to the stairs. Do not want to fight this guy. Well, at least I don't want to, not right now. Just take a quick right and immediately try to touch the Grace. And if you can, sit at it immediately. But touching it is just as good as sitting at it. You'll be able to spawn right back here. Once you've despawned him, we're safe. We're going to go ahead and level up, though, while we're here. And we're going to use our... Well, we don't really need it because we have such a low vigor bar that we don't really need it to do anything with the flasks. We are going to get vigor at some point. It's just not on my to-do list right now. Once we get to the Grand Lift of Rold, we will be in the Mountaintops of the Giants. A lot of good things up here, guys. A lot of good things in the Mountaintops of the Giants. This is another reason I wanted to come here. Although it took a lot to get here, this is our 11th video and we're finally here. Although you can get here a lot sooner, but I wanted to make sure I left a lot of NPC quests open. And I'm still not even sure if I'm going to be able to do all of them in this playthrough. Get the map here and then hit this Grace. We'll be in the Zamora Ruins. There's a very important item in here and we must get it. So before moving on, let's go ahead and level up. We're going to get our Arcane up to 21. I'd eventually want to get it to 24, but right now it can only get to 21. Now for the loadout, we're going to need the jar cannon here, and we're going to need the heavy ball for later. We actually don't need the heavy ball. We just want to kill an enemy just for funsies. But we also are going to do some loadout here for the future, although I am going to switch it up. Just kind of ignore what I'm doing right now. Just the jar cannon for the win right now. You're definitely going to want that coming up. Sometimes I switch my loadouts here and there and then decide, well, that loadout wasn't good enough. Let me change it to something else. And I do that with the Fire Giant as well. You want to come over here where this bush is and dismount. Get your jar cannon out. I don't know why I popped a gold pickle foulfoot there, but oh well. You want to shoot this scarab that's hanging by the tree. As soon as it lands, you can lock on and shoot it again. Should have no problem getting the Somber 7. Now we're going to venture into the ruins because we need a very important item in here. The Smithing Stone Bale Bearing 3. This will allow us to get all of our weapons, minus the somber ones, to plus 18, which is pretty huge, I must say. There's a spell here if you want to get it. But don't linger in here too long because the enemies will come to you. You can see that one's walking to us right now. Sometimes they'll block you from coming back up the stairs. But I recommend just summoning in Torrent and going as fast as you can. But there's your Smithing Stone Bell Bearing 3. All weapons to plus 18 now. And if you need runes, all you have to do is just go to the rune farm and farm a few runes for a few minutes. And you'll have enough to upgrade everything to plus 18. Now coming up is our farming spot. We're not going to do it now, but this is our farming spot for our whip, the Thorn Whip. Although this is mainly for collection purposes, I don't know if I'm even going to use this whip very much, because we have the Hoslow Petal Whip that does the same thing, but better. But this is basically just for completion purposes, because this is a low drop rate from this one enemy. From what I understand, there's just one enemy that will drop it, and it's this one coming up. And there is no grace about, but there is a statue of Marika, so you can just keep killing yourself every time you farm the enemy. And just pick up your runes and just do it again. But this enemy right here has the whip that we're passing right now. We'll get to him later, but not right now. There is a golem at the far end of this bridge that will be shooting you. But there is some areas to take refuge if you want to. There's also a Lost Ashes of War right here we want to pick up. Just continue on the bridge. Now, you got to be careful because he can kill you with one shot from his great bow. I recommend dropping down here for a minute. You might see an arrow go whiz by you, like right there. But just get to the end of the bridge as fast as you can. And you shouldn't take a shot. But we're going to kill this golem, because every time you kill these golems, you have a chance to get the golem bow. And believe it or not, it does drop for me here. We're just going to wait for him to fire, then we're going to go straight at his leg. And you want to aim on this leg because it's easier to get the critical hit once you stun him. A lot shorter distance to travel to get to the weak spot. And he's gone. And we get the Golem Great Bow. We're not going to use it in our build, but there it is. This is supposed to be an attempt at a 100% walkthrough, so farming a lot of weapons is part of it. We got that one out of the way. Now there is a scarab over here you want to get. Sneak up behind this one. This is a Somber 8. We need these to upgrade our weapons, so don't let him get past away from you here. We'll get the Somber 8. We're going to get another Somber 8 very shortly before getting to the church, the First Church of Marika. You might start to hear Latenna call out to you here. She's going to inform you that the castle soul is to the north. This is where the second half of the Haligtree medallion is housed. We will go there, but not right now. You want to take a quick left here, ignore the golem. We want to make it to the Shack of the Lofty. This is where we're going to invade for our third invasion at Volcano Manor, and we'll get our second Hoslow Petal Whip, so we'll be able to dual wield them now once we kill this NPC. Now this NPC is by far the deadliest we have faced so far. However, we have a few things going for us. We have the Coiled Shield, which is going to keep him away from us because it always stuns the enemy and it will cause poison, although we are going to rot this enemy with our rot bone bolts. We don't have a lot of these, but we're going to use them here. We want to rot him first, and then we're going to continuously use the Coiled Shield to keep him away from us. And then we're going to use blood bone bolts to finish him off. That's the plan. Let's do it. As far as talismans, you're obviously going to want the Kindred of Rot Exaltation. And I am going to switch this up here. I put the shield in my right hand. I want to change that to the left hand because you want to have the ability to shoot the right hand. I guess it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, whatever you prefer. rot and bloodbone bolts. And that's really all we're going to need. But what I will say here is there is a missable gesture, much like we had to do in the round table hold. You have to let him taunt you first, or do a gesture or whatever. He's going to do a gesture, which you must watch him do it. This is, however, going to leave you with a missed opportunity to inflict rot on him easier. However, we're going to just let him do it, and then we'll start attacking him. Don't attack him yet. Wait until you get the gesture, and then start using your rot bone bolts. Once you proc it, start running away and get your coiled shield out. It's very important to know when to unleash the snake. You have to wait until he attacks you first, because he's got to recover from his attack animation, which gives you time to use the snake on him. I don't think you can proc two effects at once, like the rot and poison. Rot is better anyway. But once he gets to half health, he's going to try to heal. So he's already healed once. We're just going to hit him a few more times. Once we get him down to half again, we're just going to finish him off with the blood bone bolts. We could have actually just started doing that now, but the snake has amazing range. We'll get another free hit because he's trying to heal. The main thing is just stay away from this guy. You cannot get close to him. You have to stay away from him at all times. But he's always going to try to charge you, so you always have the advantage with the coiled shield and the blood bone bolts. And that's it. We'll get the second Hoslow Petal Whip and his armor set. And we'll also get a free teleportation to the Rykard fight in Volcano Manor, but we are not doing that for a while, guys. Once you get your stuff, we need to get to a grace. So there is a spirit spring to the left here. That's our next objective. We need to get to the First Church of Marika, which is our next grace. And this is also going to give us access to the Somber Smithing Stone Bell-Bearing 3. We don't have the first two even yet. So getting the third one will allow us to buy 5s and 6s. We'll get the 1s, 2s, and 3s, and 4s in another episode. Now, there is a Somber 9 close by. We'll get it later. Our first objective here is to get to the Grace. We eventually need to make our way down that direction. But there are a lot of deadly enemies coming up. We're just going to avoid them as much as we can. We just need to get out of here. These skeletons, giant skeletons, will rise up from the ground. This is basically another Tibia Manor. We're not doing it right now. This is where we'll get another death route. We are not interested in fighting this right now. We will come back at a much, much later time. Our main thing is to get out of here. You need to find the way down. Just keep on the move, because these skeletons will one-shot you for sure. One-shot death guaranteed. Especially at our vigor level. Church is off in the distance here. Well, actually, we'll get to the frozen lake. Once you get to the lake, you know you're in good shape. The lake will spawn a dragon, and there is a crustacean nearby on the shore, but we're going to get a Somber 8 from the shore. But just go in this direction and don't deviate from it. You're going to get some fog in your face, but stay to the south. Keep to the south and aim for this shoreline. It's not here yet, but you're going to get a dragon to spawn, but you can ignore the dragon, of course. Just keep going straight. Once the fog lifts, you'll need to locate the shoreline and get the Somber 8. But be wary, there are going to be some crustaceans. that are nearby that will spawn, but we're just going to do a snatch and grab here. Snatch and grab. Get out. There's one of the crustaceans rising up right there. Now the first church of Marika is right there. In front of the church is a corpse that has the somber smithing stone bell bearing. Now we can buy 5s and 6 infinitely. We're almost to the fire giant, guys. Not too much longer. I'm going to hit this grace here. And we're going to go back to Round Table Hold here because we need to get ready for the fire giant. We need to upgrade our weapon. And also we're going to go to Volcano Manor and get our prize for killing our third target. Taker's Cameo. This will give us health back for every kill, much like the Ancestral Horn gives us FP back for every kill. Of course, these can be stacked. We're going to go talk to Bernal and get his letter while we're here.
Look at you. I knew
We'll do his quest later.
a special if you should used to.
Make sure you exhaust his dialogue. Make sure you've bought everything from him as well.
You've come to undertake power to raise the free recure.
It's very important to understand that you can kill the fire giant. What you can't do is burn the Erd Tree. If you burn the Erd Tree, you're going to miss out on a lot of NPC quests, a lot of things. We cannot do that yet. Although doing so will give you access to even more powerful items, but we are nowhere near ready to burn the Erd Tree yet. So we're not going to do that, but we are going to kill the fire giant to get our whip. But that is the point of no return. You cannot burn the Erd Tree. Just remember, if you burn the Erd Tree, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff, and you just don't want to do that. We're going to go ahead and upgrade our Uchi Katana to plus 18, and we're going to make it a Blood Uchi Katana. This is the best weapon to kill the fire giant with our build. There may be easier ways to do it, but for us, this is just going to be the better way.
Well, I took you no matter how you're
We do not have the whetstone yet to make anything blood affinity, so we're just going to have to use the Ash of War that we have that's blood related, which is the Bloody Slash. But soon we'll be able to use blood affinities, but we do not have that access yet.
back over no matter.
Let's go ahead and put the Ash of War on it to make it blood. We need to make it blood because the blood buildup will be up to 79. That is huge, guys. And with the blood exaltation talisman, you can see where we're going with this. We're going to bleed out the fire giant. That's what our goal is. I did try to rot him as well, but it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So just the Uchi Katana with the blood loss to 79 will be enough. I was prepping a little early for the fire giant here. We're going to redo our loadout later, so kind of ignore what I'm doing right now. You are going to need the Lance Talisman because we are going to fight the fire giant on horseback. That is the easiest way to kill the fire giant. I don't care what anybody says. Sure, you might be able to do one-shot builds and stuff, but for the basic player, you're just going to want to stay on the horseback. You'll get 15% extra damage while on horseback with that talisman as well. Plus, we're going to use the Ritual Sword Talisman. That's another 10%. So, with that and the Blood Loss build-up, with the Blood Exaltation Talisman, the Fire Giant is easy with this build, I'm telling you guys. You're not going to struggle with the Fire Giant. It's going to be very easy to kill. You don't even need Vigor for this guy. We're not going to take any damage from this guy. I think we get stunned or something, but Torrent took the damage. But yeah, we're going to need the Jar Cannon coming up to take out a rather sneaky Scarab that has a Somber 8. Again, we're doing some more prep here. I did this prematurely, so kind of ignore what I'm doing. You do want the Ballista Bolts, though, and you're definitely going to want the Beast Torch coming up. There are some that are immune to it. There's some Kaled dogs up here. You might remember from Kaled. Now, some of them are immune to it. I don't think these are 100% immune to it, but some of them are. We're just going to try to keep away from them as much as possible. So that chain in the distance there's a chain bridge. That's our destination. We want to get there as fast as possible with little problems as possible. So stick to the left here. You'll see a dog here in the distance. That one will come at you always, regardless if you have the torch or not. But there are other wolves in the area that will attack you, strays. Just keep the torch on and get to this grace coming up right here before this little encampment. We're not going to sit at the grace. We're just going to activate it and move on. We're not going into that structure. We're going to just get through this encampment. Just follow the path, take a left up here, and you will have the chain bridge right here. And as soon as you cross this chain bridge, you'll be in the final area of the Mountaintops of the Giants. And there's a map fragment and a grace to the left as soon as you get off this bridge here. The map fragment. We'll hit the grace. Our next destination is to kill an NPC to get the Rivers of Blood katana. Again, we're going to use the same strategy, sort of, that we used for the NPC that we killed to get the Taker's cameo, except we're going to use the Nox Flowing Sword instead of the snake. We are going to use the snake, but we're going to mainly use the Nox Flowing Sword after using the snake. We're just trying to proc the poison, and then we're going to use the Nox Flowing Sword to finish him off. Flowing Form for the win. You just got to stay away from his corpse piler attack. He will one-shot you with that. There are some enemies that will be fighting each other, and I do recommend sitting at the grace because there is a finger creeper that will fall down right here, and sometimes he doesn't die, so you just want to make sure you go ahead and sit at this grace, because I do think he's coming at me here. Yep, he's coming at me right now, so we're just going to sit. Now we're going to need to take out a teleporting scarab. These things are very skittish. So you want to locate this area right here, very close to the grace. We're just going to use Torrent to jump up here. You're not going to be able to jump in here any other way. And you don't even have to kill the scarab. You just need to shoot him off of his perch. He'll fall off of his perch and die from the fall damage. Just shoot one time, he'll fall to his death. And you'll get the Somber 8. Now it's time for the NPC fight. We're going to need the shield. And the Rot Exaltation Talisman. And that's pretty much it. We're going to get poison first, then the Nox Flowing Sword. Flowing Form is really good for this fight. Just drop down. You'll see the church really close by. If you want, you can try to hit the grace inside the church, but you're going to get dismounted automatically once you approach the church. So I just figured let's just go ahead and fight him. But if you're... There's another grace real close by, so even if you die, it doesn't really matter. Just unleash the snake again. Once he's poisoned, which only takes one hit, then you're just going to wait for him to get close to you. Once he starts running full force at you, you can feel free to use Nox Flowing Form, and you'll pretty much hit him most of the time. There's really nothing else to say. Just avoid his attacks like that. Just keep your distance, just like you did last time, and it'll be over before it even started. This guy's a joke. We're going to finish him off with the snake, and that's it. we'll get the most nerfed weapon of all time, the Rivers of Blood Katana. I still like it, though. I still think it's a pretty cool weapon. It's just not nearly as overpowered as it was, but it needed a nerf, guys. It was unbelievably overpowered. Even though they nerfed it, I think, multiple times. Now it's time for the Fire Giant. This guy is not that hard, guys. I'm telling you right now. He will one-shot you, yes. But we have a strategy. When you have a strategy, you don't really care about getting one-shotted because you know your strategy is still going to be better. So let's go through it. You're going to need, first of all, we're going to get rid of all this. The Blood Uchi Katana, for sure. You're also going to need, well, you don't really need the crossbow. I just used it. You mainly need the Blood Exaltation Talisman and the Katana. That's really all you need. And the Lance Talisman for the horseback. And we're going to use some stamina stuff here. Now, I'm going to take a detour here, guys. After failing to the Fire Giant a few times, I was like, there's got to be an easier way to take this guy out. And there is. But we need to go back to Limgrave real quick. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to when we had episode 1. And I said, well, there's a talisman in here, guys, but we're not going to get it yet because we're saving our stone sword keys. The Turtle Talisman is one of the best talismans in the entire game, and I should have told you guys to come back and get it. But the Green Turtle Talisman will increase our stamina regen, and on top of that, we're going to use our Crystal Tears to increase our stamina. And on top of that, we're going to use Pickled Turtleneck as well. So that's all the stamina regen buffs that we can possibly get. Because for the Fire Giant, you really just want stamina. You want stamina, stamina, stamina. Even if you have a talisman that gives you more stamina, I recommend using it. But we didn't kill Margit, the Fell Omen, in the capital outskirts. So we didn't get that talisman yet. But the Green Turtle Talisman, this will make your life so much easier against the Fire Giant. You'll thank me later. This is going to make it so much easier. In fact, I'm going to get rid of the Rot Exaltation Talisman, which I had planned to use with the crossbow, but I made a change because the Green Turtle Talisman was just too good to pass up. I recommend using this talisman for the Fire Giant. Stamina is king in this fight, because it takes a lot of stamina to keep wielding your katana, and you can only do it at 3 swings at a time. And then your character has to kind of rest or something. So 3 hits, regen stamina, 3 hits again. If you keep to that pattern, you'll do maximum amount of damage quickly. So this first attack that the Fire Giant does is very hard to avoid, but I'm going to tell you guys how to do it every time. Once he sticks his shield into the ground, count 2 seconds and then double jump. You will never get hit by it if you do this. So you're going to wait until he puts it down. 1, 2, jump. Double jump, you'll never get hit. Then you're going to run to the leg that has the bracelet on it and just wail on it as fast and as many times as you can possibly do it. If the camera changes, you either need to go away from the giant or towards the giant as fast as you can, spurring torrent. But as long as you keep wailing on that leg, he will eventually go down and go into his, or go into this phase where he's going to pull out a fire orb. But we're going to hit him so many times that he's going to be stunned pretty soon. And also he'll try to stomp on you. Be careful. I think Torrent took a lot of the damage there. For some reason it didn't hurt me. You just got to be careful whenever the camera view changes. You know he's about to swing his shield or stomp on you. There's really not much to say about the first phase. That's it. You're just going to keep wailing on his leg. At the beginning of the second phase, run up to him and hit him 6 times if you can. This is why stamina is so important right now and why we buffed so much to increase it. Here I tried to rot him. When he's doing this attack, you want to stay far away But I was trying to rot him as much as I could, but I just didn't get it to proc. But it really doesn't matter, because this is the easiest phase of the fight, really. Because all you have to do is run under him and hit his ball sack. That's it. You're basically crotch hitting him. That's all you're going to do. As long as you stay in the middle and hit him in the crotch, you will never ever take damage from this guy. When he starts to roll is when you usually get one-shotted. But as you can see, we're just going to keep repeating the same thing over and over. Again, why Torrent is so easy for this fight. You just want to tilt the camera up so you can get a good view of his crotch. And just keep hitting it. I know this sounds kind of weird, but yeah, this is the best way to kill him. And you'll stun him because you hit him so many times consecutively. And that's really it, guys. This is one of the easier fights. One of the most overrated fights, I think, I've ever seen in a Souls game. Because this guy on horseback, it's so easy. But if you had to do it off of the torrent, it would not be so easy. But thank God we have horse combat. Make sure to pop your pickled foul foot, gold pickled foul foot, and try to get on the gold talisman to get 280,000 runes here. You'll have plenty of time with these remembrance bosses. And that's it. Do not go to the Forge of the Giants. We're not going there yet. Instead, let's go to Enya and get our prize. Our whip. We went all the way near the end game to get this thing, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade it as much as we can. We can get it to +8 right now, and that's what we're going to do. In the next episode, we're going to upgrade to +10 on a few of our weapons. But we don't have the Somber 9s that we need, and the Ancient Dragon Smithing Stones that we need. We're going to go ahead and upgrade our Magma Whip Candlestick to +8, but I thought I had enough Sombers to do the same for my Giant's Braid, but I didn't. So I'm going to have to go back to the Twin Maiden Husks to buy some more stones. But we'll upgrade that to +8, and then we'll call it an episode, guys. In the next episode, we are going to focus on getting into Castle Sol and completing that part of the Latenna's side quest and make our way into the consecrated snowfields. In addition, we're going to get a few more somber bell bearings. So we did as much as we could with our Magma Whip Candlestick. Now we need to go get the Giant's Braid. Unfortunately, we do not have the bell bearings to get 1s and 2s. So we're going to have to go back to Inchi in Liurnia real quick. But we're going to go ahead and buy the 5 and the 6 that we need. But we need the 1 through 4. So back to Liurnia we go. Our buddy NG. Now, let's get this thing to +8. This is a really fun whip to use, guys. Both of these whips. And we'll have builds centered around them. We'll get to that later. But we're going to buy 1 through 4. And now we can upgrade the Giant's Braid to +8. Fun times ahead, guys. We're getting much stronger. I'll probably level up all my weapons to +18 off of video. So when we do come back, I'll have all that upgraded. But we do need to go ahead and go back to the Mountaintops of the Giants and get ready to go into Castle Sol. That will be the next thing that we do at the beginning of the next episode. See you guys in the next one.